First of all, I want to confirm if you have your Gmail account and if you have opened this system that you see here. This Kobotoolbox system is a cloud-based system. It's a website. So all we need to do is to enter into the website and create your own account. That's how simple it is. And then from there, right from this training moving forward, you are going to be using this account to manage data for your organization, for your personal work, for your research, etc. So please, I want everyone to get at this level before we continue. So to start with, I would like to first of all take you in here and then for you to see the Kobotoolbox website. So on this website you have features. So if I click here, you will see the different features of Kobotoolbox. This website is a learning website. So each time I talk about Kobotoolbox, I always love to take you through this website. It tells you different components of Kobotoolbox. It shows you an overview of how Kobotoolbox works, right? It works with Excel, Google Sheet, ArcGIS, R, SPSS, Stata, and also Power BI, and it also works with Open, Zapier, and also SQL. So these are the different sources that you can connect to Kobotoolbox. We are not going to be going all that long because we are going to be looking at just how to create in a forms, etc. Here now you can buy a space, for month, for a year. You can buy a space because the Kobotoolbox has different options here, because the system, when you start collecting really large data sets, you would see the importance of buying a space, okay, because they want to ensure that when you buy an additional space you can create more data. For instance, the Kobotoolbox form gives you just, I think, 5,000 data per month, so you can only collect 5,000 surveys per month. If you want to go above that, then you have to buy a space. And then about them, you can come here, read about Kobotoolbox. Sometimes these things are very important, just to know about what Kobotoolbox is, what are the people doing, how are they doing it, and all that. See who is the brain behind it, So these are the different data forms or data connectors that you can also check, begin to get inspired from these different data sets. And then also help. You can get help from here. This option is very important. If you have any questions, if you have some things that you want to do, you can go to the community. This is very, very important, because here you'll find different people that are posting troubleshooting some items that they are going through. For instance, somebody could not submit a form. If you go here, you will see reason why they could not submit from another person who is sharing, and then from there you can learn. Here also you can learn online, learn more about online learning, okay? So they have different courses online. And then contact. So when you click this contact here, you can write them and maybe ask them whichever question or whatever question that comes to your mind. Let them know your question, let them know your thoughts, etc. And then they'll reach out to you through emails. So these different areas are very, very important. Going back to the key features, you would see the different features here. You have choose from 25 qualitative question types. You see it tells you edit forms in Excel for complex needs with the XLS form standard. These are the different features. Okay, so when you navigate around it in this manner, it already gives you an understanding of what it means. So you have download data into Excel, CSV, KML, zip, or GeoJSON. Okay, these are maps. This one here relates to maps. So these are the different ways that you can collect data and also download your data from the Kobotoolbox space. Okay, so this is very important for you to take a look and go through it and see how you can make use of this. Okay, so this is very important. So after having looked at that and we are now comfortable with what we have seen, you can now go ahead and click get started. Now when you click get started, now you get to that point where one of our colleagues was already sharing with us, and under here you see that these are the organizations that are supporting Kobotoolbox. You have UNDP, Save the Child or Save the Children. You have Solidarity, you have UNHCR, you have the Nature. These are the different organizations. OCHA, IOM. These are the different organizations that are behind this tool to design it and to build it and also to sustain it in terms of resources and in terms of capacity. And then here now you have two different servers. This is very important. This server here is the global server. This server is a European server. Okay, so this one is a European Union based server which is hosted in Ireland. Now this server is used by organizations that require or prefer data hosting in European Union space. Okay, this other one is a global server which most people use, global Kobotoolbox server, to get started with free account today. So this is it here. You can decide to use a European server or the global server, but to me I don't really see much difference. The difference is just that one is managed by a different entity, another one is managed by a different entity. Depending on which one you want to use, you can go ahead and use it. Is still okay and it's still fine. But of course, for the purpose of this video, most of my forms that I create, I do it under the European Union server, but some other forms I do it under the Kobotoolbox and global server. So it's okay, no one has any issue. Just choose which one you want to use. It's just about data privacy and data prioritizing your data and choosing where you want your data to go. Any question at this point, please? All right, great. So right here, when you get here, after you have click your start, you see that it gives you option to create a new account. It also has an option that says sign in. Now, traditionally, when you get into any website in the world, you have sign in and you have login. So sign in most cases is when you are entering for the first time, and login is when you were already there and then you are logging in. In other cases, you see create an account and you have sign in. So it goes by different levels. So now, if I sign in, I'll go directly to my account. If I want to create a new account, I'll just click create. So let's try first. If I click this sign in to this server, it automatically shows me my account that I created previously. You see? So this is my account. I just need to click login and I'm in. So it gives my account name Hillary Chin, and then it gives my password. So this is what Google has done, which is I really appreciate. Google has been able to sync your email address and the password into credible and trustworthy systems. Okay, so they host it from their end, helps you to keep it there so you don't forget your password and have to put it again all the time. So, but since I want to teach you how to create an account, you will go to this create an account and you click. Now when you click there, what you will find is this space that you see here. And Kobotoolbox, I really appreciate them because they have done a great work. What they have done is their system is very smooth because there's a regular work, constant construction, constant building, constant improving. So once you get here, all you need to do is put your name. Okay, let me put my name. Okay, just put your name, just follow with me, just be doing the same thing I'm doing. Write your full name. That's my full name. And then your username, what you want to see to appear here. Like you saw when I clicked sign in, you saw my username, right, which was Chin Hillary. And then my email. This is your Gmail account where they will send you a confirmation, right? Good. And then you click your country and then click the sector. For me, I'll always click education. Okay, I'll click education, or click anywhere you think that your organization is very focused. You have different options here, right? And then you now click organization type. Are you a non-profit? Are you a government institution? Are you an education organization? Are you a commercial non-profit? Are you not associated with any organization? So you choose. So I'm a non-profit. I always choose this option. Once you choose that, now they ask you for your organization website. All you need to do is to copy that link and come and put it here, or write it as www.form and put it there. Okay, you can say www.hardyguides.com, right? So here now it says I want to receive occasional updates about Kobotoolbox. Do you want to receive? I always want to. Agree with the terms and condition. Many times we just click terms and condition. Please make sure to go here when you have time and read and see what their terms and conditions are. Also read their privacy policy, because this concerns data and it's important for you to know these different policies to be able to understand how you manage data in this system. It also allows you to be able to relate with other organizations in terms of data privacy. And then here now they did something very powerful here. You see that once I click here, it already gives me my different accounts in this system. You see? So you already see my username here, Hillary Chin. Okay, but I'm not using this now. What I want to do, I want to put a different password. So make sure that the same password you put here is the same password you put here for confirmation, right? And then once you do that, you say a word by itself is easy to guess. So what this means is, to protect your password, make sure you mix it with letters and figures. So I'm adding figures now. It is still weak. Now I also want to add capital letters. Okay, it is still weak. Now I also want to add some signs. Okay, that's my add sign. You see that the more I add the add sign, it starts showing strength. This green here shows that my password is strong. Never you continue to create an account when this area is red or yellow or different color. Allow it to be green. It shows that your account is strong. What do I mean? Let me show you here. For instance, if you want to create an account, I can put a password like this. I can say I can say go at exclamation sign 12 small letters AN and then capital letters AS. So you mix the small letters with these signs with capital letters and then even with space, right? With space. This way, people are not going to be able to guess your password. Okay, this is important. You saw that when I put only word, they said it is easy to guess. So once you have done this, come here and click create account. When you click create account, you go back now to your email, this Gmail that you used to create the account, and then you check that email. They will send you a link. Immediately now they'll send you a link. Go to that link and just click. Once you click, it will ask you for this password and it will ask you for this username. And once you put the same username and password that you created that you used to create this account, we will now dive in the system and then we move from there. I'll just give you some few minutes to do that. Any questions, please? So, as we move around with this Kobotoolbox, if you create an account using the global server and you have to connect someone anywhere to your account, maybe to get access to your form or to manage your form with you, you will not know that the person must also have an account in this same server. Take note of that. For instance, if I created an account in the European Kobotoolbox server and I have to connect you, maybe we are managing one project and I have to connect you to a form which we are going to be seeing as we move ahead with these lessons. Now, when I connect you to that form, I'll know if you have your account but with the global server, I'll not be able to connect you to the European server. You will need to go back and create an account in the global server. So what it means in conclusion is, for us to be able to join together, we need to be in the same server. So someone in America anywhere can manage my data from here. I just need to connect them using their own account, and then they can access my form, follow up on how data is coming in, etc., etc. Please take note of this. Please, Hilary, do you put the Gmail account where the request for email? Yes, that's where you put the Gmail account. So on this phase, what I'll do, I'll just go to sign in. Remember that I already have an account, right? Good. So I'll just go to login now. So I'll go to my login button and I log in. Once I log in, it brings me here. So Kobotoolbox is doing some exciting things, so they are informing us. I'll check this later on. So you is going to open your account. You will not see any form here. So don't mind, you will not see any form here. What you will see is a blank space, which I'll show you later on. On that blank space that you see, you come here to this new and you click new. And once you click new, come to build form from scratch. Here we have template. Here we have import from via URL. Here we have upload from XLS form. But today I want us to look at building your form from scratch. Just come here and you click. Once you click that option, project name, you write your project name. I'll just write demo here. I'll just write data for impact. And then here it says describe. Yes, we just put NGOs, participants, and then here sector required, we'll just put education, and then here you put the country, Cameroon. So just click that, make sure you select properly so that it picks your Cameroon well, okay? And then now you come here and you create project. Once you create, it brings you here. When you get here, please tell me. This is the heart of our lesson today. So this is the heart of our lesson. So if everyone is here, please let me know so we continue. Okay, so before you create a form in Kobotoolbox, you need to have a plan. You need to have come up with a plan of your questions. So based on the plan that we have here, we have region, and then the types of region. We have the division of Southwest, the different types of division of Southwest. We have the divisions of Northwest, the different types. We have the name of the child. We have the sex of the child. We have the age of the child. We have the activities that were done to this child, which are school supplies, health issues, and GBV cases. Under these school supplies, we have different items. Under these health issues, we have different items that the child is facing. Under the GBV cases, we have different cases that the child is facing. And then we have this question that says, are you pregnant? We want to find out about the child, whether the child is pregnant. Now, this questionnaire that you have seen, I've explained here, is when you want to collect data per single individual. When you want to find out per single individual. The other questionnaire that you see down here, which I've made a plan as well, is captured from our Excel file that we did previously when we're doing our track 1 of data for impact using Excel. And this particular kind of data or questionnaire, it talks about collecting data for the whole organization. That is why here you see the month of the data, the year, the name of the organization, the acronym, the name of the funder. You have the different options that we saw, the region, the division, the subdivision, the communities where this project are being implemented, the objectives. We saw the same objective that we saw in the 5W in Excel. The outcome, they are still there. The activities, they are still there. The sectors are still there. And then the number of boys and number of girls, IDP hosts, returnee, that are being reached out in each of these communities by these organizations in the regions and in the divisions that we have seen here. So this one now is collecting data, a summarized data now for these different locations, okay, following the 5W template. But permit us to start creating our form using this individual questionnaire here. From here, you are going to be inspired to also collect data using our previous data lines that we use in our 5Ws. Is this okay? Is this understood? The moment you get here, this is a very interesting part of your Kobotoolbox. So here you find this small I, it says preview form. This one says expand and collapse questions. This one says create groups. And this one says insert cascading. Now we are going to be looking at all this as we move ahead gradually. Then here is your library. I can create questions and save them here, and then later on use them in different form. Very easy and straightforward. And then here now is a layout, your setting, how you want your form to look. But please, we are not going to be coming here now. Just pay attention here. Here, if you find this space here, it says this form is currently empty. You can add questions, notes, prompts, or other fields by clicking on the plus sign below. So we are going to click this plus sign. The moment we click this plus sign, it now tells us that it is ready for questions to come in. And there is something I want to show you. I'll click add question here. Once I click add question here, you find out the different kinds of question types, the data types. In some areas, you find data types or question types. So, if you want to set a question for people to be selecting one, or you say, Somebody cannot be male and female at the same time in the context of Cameroon. So here, if you take select one, it means you are asking questions like sex, and the options are male, female, for someone to select one. Here is a decimal point. Maybe you are asking questions of how much are people earning, like IDPs, etc. Here is a data point. You want to find the data point or the GPS of a location. You record. This is it here. Here is line. Now, many times when we deal with maps, I might want to find the distance of a line of a community from one position of that community to another. I will set this question and I guide people how to use it. This one is the same, the area, the surface area. Maybe you want to check the surface area of a certain refugee camp to know how accessible or how big it is to bring food, etc. You can use this one. Calculation. Many times we set calculations, so when people are putting data, we are automatically having those calculations and then clean the data before we bring it into our Excel. We have external XML. These ones are a little bit complex. We have select many. Now there are different choices that you want people to select many. We'll be seeing it in this form. You have date as well. You have photos. You have notes. Note here simply means you just want to ask or write, tell respondents what is happening in the next question. We are going to be using this. You have ratings, you have hidden, you have text, you have time, you have audio, you have record, you have different kind of data type of question. But I wouldn't want to overwhelm you with too many of these. Usually what we do when we teach data, we will select those that are regular and we teach you. And then subsequently now you can start learning the other ones. Okay? In order not to scare some of you away, because these things are very, very important to take note of. So today we are going to be using select one, select many, text. We are going to be using numbers. We are going to be using dates and time. We are going to be using date as well. We are going to be using note. Note is very important. So the first question we want to ask here is simple. We want to ask this question that says region, right? So it's select one. We'll click select one. We'll come here now and we double click and we say region. We want to know the region that this child is coming from, and we put our question mark. And then it automatically gives us different options here. So I'll just put southwest and northwest. And then I always love to come here and put 1 and put 2. This helps me to clean my data when it comes into Excel. I can know that this 1 stands for southwest, this 2 stands for northwest. But it's important to use that. Now, once I do this, I have created the first question. And then, if I come here, you will see that this save turns to a small star. It means that I have not saved this question, and I'll click save. Always make sure you save your question. Now it says save successfully. And then that small star goes out. This is very important. I'll come here and I put my question down and I drop it down just to make it clean so I can have access or space to create the next question. I'll go to the next question and I click my plus again. It still gives me the different data types. I still want to select one. Now I have regions and I want to have divisions, right? So divisions D, divisions of northwest. Permit me to be using some short abbreviations because of time. Divisions of southwest, divisions of southwest. Here the first one is Indian, capital letters. Here the second one is Manu, as we saw it there. And then I'll double click, I put 1, double click, and I put 2. I can decide to come here, double click, Control C, and I double click, Control V, and I paste it there. Double click, Control C, and I double click, Control V, and I paste it there. Each time I see this other data head, I see that it relates to Indian. And then this small save turns to a small cross, and I save. So the next question type we are going to be looking at now is text. So I'm going to come here, select that, and come here. I say the name of child. Always make sure you write your question mark. Now I'll click text because I want people to be writing a text. and then I'll save. This is a good practice. Always make sure you save. The next question type that we'll see here is the age of the child. Age of child. So here I'm going to click and then I'll select number. You see, I'll select number because I want them to be putting in numbers, right? And then I'll just save. Once I save that, I'll come to the next question. Let me see the next question here. It says activities, right? Perfect. So I'll just come here. I go to my activities. Here now it still says select one, right? Because I want them to be selecting just one activities at a time. And I'll click here and I still choose my select one. And I'll take school supplies. I think that's what we have there. And then the next thing there is health issues and GBV cases. Double click there and I say health issues, and then I'll double click here. You have GBV cases. So this is what we are doing here right now, and then I'll double click here, put 1, double click, put 2, double click, put 3. So this relates back to those questions. I know that 1 stands for school supplies and then 2 stands for health issues. And then I'll drop that question down again, and then I'll come again and I see what is left here. Okay, then now I'll begin to separate these different activities until we get to the last. Another very good practice which I always recommend, another very good practice is that learn to be copying from here and then pasting. Ctrl C and then go to your form and then just Ctrl V, you paste, you see, and then come under that option there, and then let's see whether it's multiple selection. Okay, now we want to choose multiple selection, right? So books, you get the books, you copy, Ctrl C, you come back to your form here, and then you go now to select menu and you click. Now you paste the books. It says that we have given them books. Pens, I also want to find out if they were given pens. Double click here, put 1, double click here, put 2, and then we come to the last here. We see what we have there, and we have our school bags, right? We want to see that school bags. That's it. You double click here, put 3. So this is very important. If you notice, you would see that after having created my questions, there are some specific questions that I had to place them in a certain level for some reasons. If you look at here, you would see that the question here that says where is that question? Okay, there's supposed to be a question that asks for the sex of the child, whether the child is male or female. This is very important. So I'm going to bring that question later on. I know why, because I want to show you. It means that after you have created your form like this, and maybe you forgot a question that you want to add, all you need to do is to hover around your mouse, you see, and choose where you want that question to appear. So I want that question to appear after name of child here. I'll just click, you see, and I'll say sex, question mark, and I'll come here again, choose my add question, right, and then I go to select one. I'll now say male, and then I'll double click and I say female. Take note of this. Double click 1, double click 2, and I save. You see that I've been able to add a question after I created my form. Another thing I want you to know is when you play with your mouse like this, you bring it here, it turns to this 4 cross. Just hold it, and then you see what I'm doing. You see what I'm doing? I've just changed the position of that question. I've just brought my sex up here and the name of the child here. I can decide to also change this age, the position of the child, age of the child. I can change it also and say, okay, I want this to be after sex, and I bring it, you see. So this is how you can just play around with your questions. That's the first thing to note. The second thing to note is, if I come to this question region and I want to ensure that people select this question, they must select. If they don't select, they will not be able to submit the form. I'll come to this small setting here, this small mark that says setting, and I click. Once I click, you'll find different options which we are going to be looking at in the days ahead. I'll come here and choose mandatory because I want it to be mandatory, right? And you see this small plus, I'll just click and then it blocks. Now what you find here is a small cross, small star that appears on this question, indicating that you must answer that question. Take note of that, it's very important. Under each question you have question prompt, and when you click under that question prompt, it allows you to add another additional information to give clarity. I can just say, please ensure to answer this question. You see, and anytime I deploy this form, you would see that this small prompt will be appearing under that question to emphasize about that particular question. You can do it for all of them, depending on what you are doing with your form. The next thing I want you to take note of is this. I can copy or duplicate this question. So if I come to this small option here and I click, I have already duplicated this question. Now we have two of this question here. 1, 2. You see, I have duplicated these two questions. I can also come here now to this small delete and I click delete, and I delete that question that I duplicated, and it takes me back to normal. This other small option here, I can add question library. I can add question from my library. There's no question in my library. We'll be looking at this as we move ahead, okay? So just stay calm. We're looking at that. I don't want to overwhelm you with too many things. But these are the three options that you are going to be using all the time. Because the moment you create your form, you want to come to setting here and make it mandatory, okay? So that people can answer it before they submit the form. This is a way of cleaning your form before they submit, because once some questions are mandatory, you see that there will be no errors when you are cleaning your form when it gets to Excel. Okay, so please, do you have any question? Just bring it on. So before we do grouping, I want us, we talked about, because now we have a question, text question, we have number question, we have select multiple choice, we have multiple option, we have select one. So now we said we'll do a note. So note here simply means I'll come here and I click and I choose note. The moment I choose note, sorry, let me delete this question back and I show you what I mean. Okay, let's say you want to now move to the next level of this question, and the next level you want to give an information, right? I want you to say, please, this next section will have GPS and maybe we'll be looking at GPS points and maybe dates. Perfect. You see now, okay? I just hope that I am writing this correctly. Perfect. Now this is an information that I want to introduce to the form and to those who are using my form, right? I'll come here now and I choose note. When I choose this note, it tells the Kobotoolbox system that this is not a question, this is just a statement, or this is just an introduction of a new section. So each time I deploy this form, you are going to see this as the next section, right? Perfect. I'm going to come here and I'll save. Then I'll go under here now, and then I say GPS point, or I say location, right? Put my question mark, come here to question type, and I go to point. So that's a GPS point. I'll go to the next again, choose that question again, and then here now I want to go to dates. I choose my date and I save. Now you will notice that there's a reason why I brought the GPS point in, because I want to teach you something that is standard with data. Each time you are putting a GPS point, don't make it mandatory, okay? Because in some other areas, GPS points always has issues. Maybe people are not using the right method, or maybe they are not using the right phones. And you don't want GPS points to alter your data. You don't want people to say, okay, we were not able to submit the whole of the form because we could not collect GPS points. Okay? But all the other options are very possible to submit anytime you are using the Kobotoolbox form. I'm not saying GPS are not possible, they are possible, but most often they pose a lot of errors and people don't know how to record it, etc. So right there, this is where we are. Now, I want to create a group. I want to be able to create a group of the first question that I created, right? I'll hold my control button down and I start selecting. And I play with my mouse until it turns to this plus cross and I select the first one, select the second question, select the third, select the fourth. Depending on which question I want to group, right? Select this one, 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 and I select this one. And where I give a statement introducing the next session, I'm not going to choose that. I'll just go up here and hover with my mouse and I click create group. The moment I click create group, automatically there's a small group icon that appears here. I'll just say section 1, Kobotoolbox. No, section 1, data for impact, Kobo. You see now, once I do that, I'll just save. Once I save, I can just break that section and you see that all my questions come under this section and you find out that the introductory text is here and then the new section, which is GPS point and date, is still here. I can still decide to hold my control button down and I create another group here and I call this group section 2. You see? And then I save and then I break that and you see that my form now is well organized. These are importance of groups. Now you see that I can just, you see, I can break that group, you see what is there, and then I put that up there. I also break the other group, you see what is there. Now there is something I want you to take note here. If I want to add a question in this group, you see that the moment I create group, I start having 2 areas of crosses, you see. There are 2 crosses here. This cross will create another question in this group. This other cross will create another question out of this group. Let's say I want to add a question in this group, right? I'll click. Let's say I forgot to add date and time. I'll now come to my add question here and I go to date and time and I click. Now I have date and time in this group. So when I break this group, when I save here and I break this group down, it covers up all that group because I added that question in that group, right? If I break it out, you see it brings all my questions. Now I can create a question out of this group by selecting this cross outside of this group and I click. Here now I might just want to ask comments. I just want people to give me their comment, right? And then here I'll put text because text they'll be writing, right? And I click save. Now when I break this question, you see that all the other question comes into this group, but this one is left out because I choose the outer cross, which was talking about creating a group out of this group. Creating a question out of this group. So take note of this. This is very important. Any question thus far. So now, after you have designed your form like this and you are comfortable with your form, you want to do something called review. You come here to preview and you click. When you click your preview, it shows you how your form will look when you deploy it. You see? This is how our form will look when we deploy it. Remember that we created a group, right? So if I put this down, that's the first group. That's the second group. And then this is where we had our note. Okay? So here, if you write something very elaborate, it will appear when you use your note. For instance, sometime when you answer your form, or when you want to reply to form, you will see where they give you consent. Say, please, this form, your data will be protected, etc., etc. What they use is this note. You can use it at the beginning of your form. Let me show you. We can come here to this form, here, right? Remember that I can create a question up here, and it appears first, and I can create a question down here. So if I come here and I click, and I say, hello, everyone. Hello all, please, this data will be protected. You might want to elaborate, say why you are collecting the data, etc. You might want to elaborate, right? And then when you come here, you click notes and you click OK. and just save. When you preview this form, that is the first information that will appear, the introduction. You see? Hello all, please, this data will be, you see? So that is the first introduction you would see when you use your notes. And then you see that there was a prompt that we made, right? Please ensure to answer this question. I made an error there. I used insert instead of answer. So this is where your prompt will appear. Okay, remember that each question has a small prompt option here. So each time you write that prompt, it will appear here. Take note of that. Also, all our question has stars because we said it should be mandatory, right? Good. So this is where we are, and then we saw our date and time. So if I click here and I say today is 19th, and then I click here, you see it tells me I can put the time. Right now is 1:44, right? So that's 1:44 p.m. This is the time right now. Okay, and then I can put my comments and then the date as well. You choose your date, it appears automatic. So that's it. So here you have the latitude. So if you want this to read, you click this small sign and then it will read for you. Okay, this works when you have deployed the form. Okay, and then this is where we are. Now that we have previewed our form and we see that we are comfortable with the form, what we are going to do is you come to this small plus X here and you click that. Once you click, it brings your form now to this other level. When you bring your form to this level, what happened is this. It began to give you different options. And the first main option here is called deploy. You want to deploy your form. If you do not deploy this form, when they answer the form, it will not come to you. You see that the moment I click deploy, all other aspects become active. Different options become active. You find out that this option become active. It start telling you online, offline, multiple submission. You start choosing how you want this form to be submitted. Do you want it to be view only? For people to just view, you choose this. You want to embed in a web form, you choose this. So these are other things that we'll be doing. Especially the Android application, we are going to be looking at this as we move ahead of this course. But one thing that is most common is the online and offline multiple submission. This is very important. This one is online only. So if you choose this one, people are not going to be able to send this form offline. Okay? If you choose the online only single submission, people are going to be able to send this form only online, single submission. When they submit once, they will not be able to submit again. So make sure that you know the option that you are choosing here. So me, I always choose online, offline, multiple submissions. And make sure that you click this on. If you don't click this, then people will need to use password and username to access this form. So I'll click this. Once I check this out, it says allow submissions to this form without username and password. Once you don't click this on and you share this form, people are not going to be able to submit this form. Take note of it. Now, I can still come here again and then I decide to say, okay, I want to still preview the form. It will still give me a preview. It will still give me a preview, you see? That is still my form. And then I want to go back. I want to come here now. I can copy this link and I send to whoever I want to send. I come to my browser here, Control V, and I click. It opens up here. So if I send this link now to anybody, they are going to see my form in this manner. That's my form, right? They are going to see my form and they are going to submit. And once they submit, I'll start receiving data. Here again, I can just open from here. Once I click that, it skips me to another space of my browser without wasting my time to copy and paste, right? It still brings me, I still get the same thing here. So now if I click this small icon, it reads my location. So if I take this location and put it in a map, it will show that I was doing this lesson in Cameroon in this particular location. So if I go back inside my form, somebody is asking, what if I made a mistake and I want to go back and correct? It's easy. You just go back to your edit in form builder and you click. Once you click, it brings you back to your form here. Remember we had groups, right? You just click the groups. I love groups because they allow you to, if you have many questions, maybe 100 questions, you can just create groups so you can open a certain group and then see what you want to do very quick. Let's say I came here and I deleted this comment, this question. This was the changes I wanted to make, right? Good. I have to save and then I go back by pressing that cross and redeploy the form. Every changes you make, you have to redeploy the form. If you don't redeploy the form, if they send information, it will be bringing in the previous edit that you made. If you edit your form 10 times, please make sure you deploy it 10 times. That is very important to note. So this is where we are. And yes, any question? Okay, this is my form here. You see that I have 4 areas here. I have summary, I have form, I have data. This data area is blank because we have not started bringing data in. I have setting. Now, this is where I can delete this form. This is how far I can go. And if I click delete project, it will still ask me question. The form associated with this project will be deleted. I understand that if I delete this project, I will not be able to recover it again. So you have different processes, so you cannot mistakenly just click a button and you delete a form. It takes intentionality and it takes commitment to delete a form. Take note of that. Secondly, now, as for questions, let me give you an example. If I come to my form here and I go to build, if I am building this form and I have built my questions like this, and then maybe I mistakenly, let me put this one down, delete a particular question here. Let me go down so it will be easier for me. Okay, let's say in this section, I mistakenly delete this particular question like this. And you see that you cannot mistakenly delete a question, because anytime you click on that delete, it will still ask you. Let's say it asks you and you delete. Now I have deleted, right? What I'm going to do here is I'm not going to save this form. I'll just close my Kobotoolbox platform and I refresh my browser and I go back. I'll see that question here, because the question will only perform when I press delete. Or I can just click that plus and it says you have unsaved changes. Leave form without saving, as I don't want to save, and I click OK. Now that I've clicked OK without confirming that save, if I go back to my form, I will still see the previous question that I deleted. You see, this date and time. Because once I take any action here, like I took before, this save button, a star appears here. So if I click here and click save, that is when that change will be affected. If I don't click that save, the change will not be affected. So if I needed not to make that save and I made a mistake, I'll just click this plus sign and it says don't save. I go back to my normal form and my form is okay. Have I answered your question, bro? So now that I'm here, you see this small option called projects. Go back to that option and you click. Once you click that option, you will now see your project here. These are the other projects that we designed for this particular project. These are other forms that I designed, right? So this is our project here. Okay, so if you look at here, if I click it again, it simply takes me back, launch me back to the project. It says summary. This summary just gives you when it was created, how many questions have come in, etc., etc., the owner and all that. It tells you share project, collect data, edit form, preview. So you have other options. So if I want to collect data, I can come here and I click. Once I click, it brings me here. That's all. If I go to my summary again and I say I want to share project and I click, it simply tells me to share. Now I'll be teaching you about this as we move ahead, okay? And then if I come here, it says edit form and I click. It brings me right up to my form to edit. I can go to this small icon here and I click and it brings me back here. Please, there's one practice you must learn. Anytime you perform any action after you have saved, come up to this small icon here that says reload your page and reload your page. Always do this. It's very important with Kobo. Specifically for Kobo, it's very important, because sometimes when you redeploy, the questions that you redeploy, it takes time to sync and get to the people who are responding. So I think that set will end here. So we'll be using this same Kobotoolbox form to create our script logic, and then we can move from there. Any question, please? So please, you will need to do your assignment. So the assignment is simple. You will need to come to this form and then go to new, create another form and give it whatever name you want, but make sure that you use this different type of data now. I'll share this data with you. I'll also put it on the comment section of this particular video, the description section. So we want to see the month, year, name of organization, acronym, name of founder. So these are the question type that you are going to create using the new Kobotoolbox form that you are going to create. Now when you create the Kobotoolbox form, you will take a snapshot and then send to us. I'll elaborate on the assignment. I'll tell you how to group them. Okay? So I'll tell you to group them maybe in 4 to 5 groups, and then you share with us.
Especially now during this busy time at the end of the year. Also, I just wanted to wish everybody already happy holidays, a blessed Christmas season if you're celebrating, and of course, Happy New Year. And then we're happy to see you back at the beginning of January. I think we will get back to you to let you know about the next trainings.
Okay, thank you so much, Hannah. Happy Christmas to you too. And hello to everyone. We're going to put this by Monday.
Thank
This
you.
lessons will be online.
Thank you.